You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the town of Swanzey.
6 o'clock. Hello? Is that on? Okay. Being 6 o'clock, I'm going to call to order the meeting, the August 27 meeting of the Swanzey Planning Board. Begin by taking attendance. I'm Victoria Rec Ames. I'm here. Scott Self.
Here.
Mark Scalera.
Here.
Richard Lane.
Here.
Brandon Self.
Here.
Michael York.
Here.
Selectmen's Rep Alan Gross.
Here.
Alternates Stacy Goodale.
Here.
Charlie Harbeck.
Here.
And Jane Johnson. No need to seat.
Hi, Jane.
Really? No need to seat any alternates tonight. The meeting, the agenda is as follows. We have no public hearings. We will begin with a discussion of an excavation report related to 56 Cory Pond Road. We have a new tenant application, PLP Composites, located at 1 Railroad Street, which is map 110, lot 105, and then a discussion of our zoning audit. So first up is the, never mind, I'm jumping ahead. Let's consider the minutes of August 13. And my question is, are there any corrections, additions, and deletions the planning board has?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our regional impact statement, is there anything on the agenda that qualifies as a development of regional impact requiring notification of neighboring municipalities?
I'll make a motion, there is not.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by Richard. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item is the excavation report for 56 Cory Pond Road. Would anybody, well, let's just, why don't you come forward in case we have questions? And we are in receipt of the report, which was the outcome of a June 25th, 2026 motion that was made by Scott to give Mike Johnson the benefit of the doubt and require that he file an excavation report within a year and to further allow him the ability to request a one-time 12-month extension. The motion was seconded and all were in favor and the motion passed. So we received the report, and the report does contain the 4 elements that are required by RSA 155-E:2D, and that same law does not specify what the required planning board action is upon receipt of the report. So my recommendation to the board is that given that we're not required to, we can consider whether the 4 elements are present, but I think that's about the degree to which we can critique it. And I'd like other opinions on that on the board.
And then we can just accept it, the board. Yeah. Or not.
Or not.
That's
Okay.
pretty much.
And I think a motion would have to be to that effect, that it contains the 4 required elements and we accept it as complete.
I'll make that motion because it contains a location and date. Excavation first began. We asked for that. And we asked for a description of the limits of their permissible excavation. We have that, or expansion. And estimate of the, let's see, which has been exposed. Which has been, exhausted at the time of the report. The area which has been excavated by the time of the report, we got that. And an estimate of the amount of commercially viable earth materials still available, we got that. And that was pretty much all that the 155 required. So my motion would be to accept the excavation report.
As
I'll second
complete.
that motion.
Seconded by Mark. Further discussion? I know we've discussed this topic at some length, so If there is no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you
guys.
very much for
Yeah.
all that hard work.
Yeah, it was a group effort.
I bet.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's half the room.
All right, next is a new tenant application from PLP Composites.
And on this application, I'm in a butter, so I'm stepping down from the board. You can replace me wherever you want.
Let's see. Last we had, Charlie was last seated. Jane, would you like to be an alternate for this? All right, we're seating Jane. Okay, we have the two questions. Hello.
How are you?
Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure. My name is Dan Shearer. I am the owner of PLP Composites based in Fitzwilliam. The company's been in business for roughly 60 years. I purchased it in 2018, and we're growing, and we need space.
Okay.
And one has presented itself here that we'd be very interested in moving forward with.
Great.
I'm Tara Kessler. I'm a planner paralegal at BCM Environmental and Law, and we're representing.
Great, great. So the task in front of the planning board is first to determine that what is proposed as a new tenant is the same type of permitted use in order for us to not require a formal site plan review. So to that end, what has previously been in that location is, and continues to be at this point, right?
Correct.
Is, we're in the business district, and it's a company that manufactures wooden shutters, blinds, doors, and specialty millwork. And what's proposed is a company that manufactures composite poles. And I thought that sounded really interesting, so I Googled it. So what, you're making lightweight, high-strength structural poles made from reinforced fibers?
We are very well done, yes.
That is so
We started as a flagpole manufacturer. The
Okay.
company PLP is plastic laminated products, is
Okay.
PLP. And we were the first to produce a fiberglass flagpole. About 30 years ago, we got into the light pole business, and we produced both decorative, which is sort of the fancy fluted with shrouds, etc., and then just standard sort of parking lot type light poles as well.
So these are not the big utility poles?
No, not
That's where
no.
my head went.
No,
Yeah.
our longest, tallest poles are about 40 feet, 35 to 40 feet.
That's pretty big.
And all of the manufacturing takes place inside of the building, is that right?
Correct.
Yes. Yeah. Just like Portalites today.
Okay.
And the proposed hours of operation are very similar to Portalites, so it's Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30? 4:30. And
4:30.
Portalite today is 7:30 to 3:30, Monday through Friday. Currently, there's about 7 employees on site per Portalite. Initially, with this building, there'll be a similar amount of employees, between 6 to 8 full-time employees during that shift, the Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to 4:30. Truck deliveres is about the same, so right now, Portalite has about 6 truck deliveries on average each week. It'll be about 3 to 4 each week for PLP initially, and there's no changes proposed to the exterior of the site, at least at this point in time. So we're here to understand what approvals would be needed prior to closing on the property.
And the kinds of trucks would be similar to what's going in and out of Portalite?
I believe so. We have occasional box trucks. The longest obviously 53-foot box truck, but that's very rare. We have shorter box trucks that are occasional, and we have our own pickup trucks that we'll do, and a trailer. We have a trailer that we move things around with.
And there are no customers that come and go on a regular
Yep.
basis.
So the only other quirk, Adam, to this site that I stumbled on is that manufacturing in the business district currently requires a special exception. Does that, is that relevant?
We had discussed this back when I met last. And because there is an existing manufacturing use, it would not need the special exception unless they.
Okay,
So if there's any expansion of that non-conforming use, it would be a special exception.
okay.
And we believe that the current owner has record of a former special exception. We haven't done it yet, but we can send it to you once we
Yes.
find it.
There's a bit of a hiccup with the files at Town Hall. The files in their property folder are for the site. They used to be merged and they were separated and they were subdivided. Just needs a bit more digging. I haven't had time to do anything yet. But just the short story is that it's an existing use. If that use becomes expanded, they would need to get that. Once they already have it.
We also understand, we saw at Town Hall, there's a 2003 site plan for the current Portalight use that shows the expansion of the building. So there is an approved site plan on file.
It shows the expansion that was
In 2003.
constructed. Yes,
Yes.
so that's done. And what I understood, in your, you've got a written a narrative that says that initially after purchasing the property for a limited time, the applicant intends to lease a portion of the existing building back to Portalight, and that sounds like it would be double everything for some period of time, right, in terms of use, double the employees, double the
I don't know
activity.
about doubling. Our initial employee base that we would see, at a starting point would be probably 4 to 5.
There are 49 parking spaces on the site, so if it were to double, I think the most could be like under 20 employees, but between 16 and 20 employees, not knowing an exact number at this time. But it wouldn't be anywhere near, at least initially, the 49. And we understand from Adam that the mixture of uses is permitted to have the two manufacturing uses, but 2 businesses in the building. Doesn't seem to be any other approvals. Tenants. Okay.
Questions from the board? Let's just start with the first idea. Does the board agree that the proposed use is the same type as the existing permitted use?
It's the same type, it's manufacturing, it's just a different product than manufacturing, so it's the same thing.
Okay. So then we can go forward and review the new tenant application, which we have done mostly already. We know it's a composite pole manufacturer. The applicant will use the existing building, driveway, and parking on site. The hours will be essentially the same. There are no walk-in customers. There are ample parking spaces. Number of full-time employees will not increase over what's existing there. No part-time employees. Pickups and deliveries, it sounded like actually would be comparable. Truck, van, and personal vehicle, delivery vehicles. Outside site lighting will continue as exists.
It might be improved in the future.
Yes, we do know some connections to some lighting companies, fixture companies.
And if that were to happen, we'll check in
Yeah.
with the town.
Yeah,
Regulations.
our hope is always to have lights that
Dark
shine
skies
down.
compliance.
Yes.
Yes. Are there any questions about the application itself?
I think it's pretty straightforward.
Are there any questions about the application from the public? Any concerns? Okay. All set?
I do have one question, and I don't know if it's involved with this or a little bit further in our discussion, but you're making a composite product, correct?
Correct.
Which entails glues, solvents, et cetera.
Solvents are a very minor portion of it. It's a combination of the fiberglass woven roving. It's a cloth that we use in conjunction with some resins, So we have some barrels of resin that are the primary.
So biohazard,
I don't believe so. There are two other people here behind me. One is the current owner, and Jay Robinson is our CEO who does all of our technical work. So if there's a question that is more.
It's primarily fiberglass with polyurethane resin. It goes on top. We're not using any heavy MDKs or solvents or anything like that.
And all that work is taking place inside, presumably on a concrete floor where anything would be encapsulated?
Yep.
so the building inspector would be concerned with ventilation, et cetera.
Yeah.
When you're utilizing the resins, et cetera, there's quite a caustic odor about those, or there used to be anyways. I'm just concerned, make sure that we have ventilation, proper ventilation in the building.
Yeah.
There's current ventilation, and if there's anything that would require additional, we would do that as well.
So just to be clear, there's no biohazard involved with this?
No
Biohazard.
biohazard?
Yeah.
Not biohazard, no.
Okay.
I'm wondering, I've worked with polyester, with fiberglass and resins, and the smell, how are you filtering the air before it's vented?
So everything gets filtered, goes through filters as it's pulled out of the building. Anything that we ever have to add, we use stacks above if we need that. But honestly, as you know, the odor is very similar and the venting is very similar to like a body shop that's painted concrete or something like that. It's not a...
It's not constant.
Right.
And it wouldn't be detectable from the neighbors' properties?
Just for context, our current location is in the depot of Fitzwilliam, and it's a residential neighborhood, and we have residential neighbors literally right across the street on multiple sides.
And no complaints?
And, I think there was a day way back when there had been some, then we did add some, prior to my purchase, they had done some ventilation, and that took care of the issues.
Okay.
And where you're planning to be, there aren't really any neighbors close to you, are there?
Much more distant, certainly, than where we currently are, yes.
Do we need to review the site plan that they say is on file now? Because, I mean, we have this that he just gave us, and it shows our parking, et cetera, but, well, again, I guess it's not in our purview, but the ventilation and the biohazard precautions, stations, or what have you, I think that could be a condition that the inspector looks at.
Just add that with regard to the collection of the dust and the odor and things like that, it's actually a very similar set to what is used in woodwork. It's no different than what's used with stains and varnishes and finishes that are put on. And it also requires a bag house for any fiberglass that we sand, do any manipulations, just like what's currently in the facility. So everything's captured into a bag house. It's,
Nothing becomes airborne, or it's airborne particles are
No,
captured.
if you walked into our shop, you would see it's not an old boat manufacturer. They're clean floors, it's neat and organized, and because we use the proper ventilation, the proper dust collection to keep all of that big contained. It shouldn't be anything different than what we currently have in that building.
Other thought? Yes?
Keep building a PL limited partnership and also the Port Light Company. Our existing dust extraction system operates at 2,250 cubic feet a minute to pull out all our residue, our dust, and our wood chips. And it goes up and it moves through a cleansing bag house, then the air is introduced back into the plant cleaning. So if that helps you out with clarifying that they're doing something on the plan.
Any other thoughts, Richard?
When was this, just looking at this, when was this site plan modification done?
It was 2003 with the expansion to the building. That's the only site plan, when we visited Town Hall, that was a site plan that we could find on file. It may be possible that there's newer site plans, but we just needed to demonstrate that that the initial development of the site had been approved by the planning board, that PLP is not proposing to make any changes to the site at this time. And so that's why I think that's included in the packet, to show that there was an approval on file for the current building and parking lot.
Adam, do you have any further comments that you think you should, or alerts for the planning board we should be thinking about?
No, I think because it's simply just an existing use that's being not really expanded upon, it's moving into the building where this existing use is taking place, very similar type of use. Again, I think this is a pretty straightforward proposal. Again, when they wish to expand, that's what we do. We're digging on special exceptions, and then they would do another site plan to show the expansion, but they're very aware of that. So.
And a small note is that we're not looking to move our operation from Fitzwilliam. This is an expansion of our needs. So we're not just putting the whole business, or moving the whole business over here. It's going to be a slow sort of transition to this site in Swanzey. And just a small side note, coincidentally, the building that we're currently in Fitzwilliam was also Peter's building before we bought it.
Small world.
Following that, this is our second time doing it.
So your business is going well?
Yeah, yes, it is.
great.
It is going very well, yeah.
Well, I thought the whole Google thing was pretty interesting. These poles are 50 to 75% lighter than traditional wood or metal, so environmentally kind of nice, and they last forever, basically 50 to 70 years. it says.
Yeah, there's the recycling of our poles is done by reuse. We actually, on our flagpoles, we take them back in. People ship us their poles that have been out for 30 or 40 years, and we'll refinish them. And while we don't take the light poles back to refinish, those can all be done on site. So towns often will refurbish them on site because they don't rust or otherwise degrade.
Environmentally inert, weather durable. Anyway, I think it sounds like a very interesting business. So any other thoughts, comments, questions? I would entertain a motion to,
We'll ask one customer down here,
well,
see if the public has anything.
we asked the public. Scott, I don't think because you've recused yourself, you can say anything, can you?
Oh, yeah, I can as in the butter.
Okay,
I can
okay.
say, yeah,
Do you have anything to say?
I can, and I do. I'm physical with the butter probably. I can see the plant from the back of my shop. But I just want to bring up that they aren't changing anything to the exterior of the building, so really the site plan really doesn't come into play unless they change something. So, yeah, and I'm fine with them. They're technically neighbor.
Thank you.
Adam, with
That we approved the tenant application?
Further
I have a
comment?
question first, prior to you getting started there. Adam, would the building inspector be involved before they move in?
Yeah, he would have a reason to be involved. Because they're going to do a building permit, everything's already there internally, so I don't think there would be a need.
There's no new equipment going in?
Well, they're allowed to put it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying,
There are no
We're very light. Our electrical load is very low. We don't run heavy equipment. We're hand fabricating for the most part. We run a mandrel, which is this long rotating mandrel shaft onto which we lay the fiberglass, and then by hand folks are working in the resins. So it's not a machine-oriented business really. It's a very hands-on, yeah, not low power. What else?
Yeah, manually crafted product, all much made, so we have a motor that turns the spindle, and then we work all this product, so it's primarily no big equipment.
We don't even run forklifts or anything. We hand load trucks. Everything is done very manually.
And there are no changes proposed, like renovations imposed to the interior, which is why a building permit wouldn't be needed at this time.
It's what attracted us to the facilities. It's exactly what they need.
Because you like following him around.
Yeah. It's worked before, yeah.
Now, we have a motion on the floor. I'm not sure at this point, can we take comments from the public still?
I might have jumped in.
We can't, no. Yeah. So, motion's been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
So I have something I want to say. Welcome to Swanzey. Thank you for bringing the business here.
Thank you. Well, we do look forward to it. It's you know, the opportunity to move to a facility of this, you know, size and just working. We like working in the small towns, and it's close enough that it's making us very happy. We can follow it through.
We're glad you're happy.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. So Scott has returned, and I'm unseating Jane, but Jane, we're discussing now, so don't stop talking, okay, for the next section, okay? Our next item is a discussion of the zoning audit. And Sarah, would you like to come up? Now, before we jump into this, I had some thoughts. And they're mostly centered on time being short. So we have one meeting with you tonight. We have a meeting with you at our next planning board, and then we're having this joint meeting. And the overarching question that I hope you can answer before the end of the night is, what can we do as the planning board to add the greatest amount of value to your work before we have that joint meeting? Okay? And you don't have to answer it on the spot, but that's where I think we should aim for that. So
I could answer that on the
Okay.
spot, because that can give us goals for this evening.
Yeah.
The first goal for this evening is just about the revised structure that's proposed, and if there are any big changes that you guys would like to see, or if you really don't like the structure, you know, that's...
and when you say structure, what do you mean by that?
Reorganized.
Okay,
ordinance.
the sequence of elements.
The sequence and the changed nature of the
Okay.
sequence, you know, incorporating the tables, because that was something we had a lot of discussion about previously, and I want impressions about if you guys think that is going to work for you, and, you know, if not, we don't want to present it to everybody else if we have to go back to the drawing board on that, obviously. The second item that I don't think we're going to complete tonight, but we might begin tonight, is going through the list of broader revisions that don't deal with restructuring the ordinance, but actually deal with the content itself and bringing it into compliance with statute and best practices and that sort of thing, and making sure that everything on that list, I don't want to say you guys agree with, so to speak, but again, if it's something that you would never put forward as an amendment to your community and would never consider putting forward, we probably shouldn't bring it to the joint meeting.
Okay.
And if there are any things on that list that I missed, I know it's a long list, so I apologize for that, but you guys covered a lot of ground with what you guys wanted to see at the joint meeting and in discussions with staff, and then combing through all of your content, making sure that you have an enforceable ordinance. Does that answer your question, Victoria?
Yes. And just to pile on, that's the section, it's the deeper in the packet, I hope everybody has a chance to look at this packet. The content amendments I thought were really, really interesting, okay? So it all came alive for me at that point. But I wonder if it would make, I guess we need to do an overview of them, but then I hope we sort of focus in our review on the first batch, what you're proposing for year one, okay?
Oh, well,
Or
and
if you think that makes sense, I just wonder.
we don't even have to work on the timeline that's provided.
Okay.
That's just sort of, that's something that you guys can determine independent of my work. I mean, I can give you a justification for why I've chosen that timeline, and maybe that would be helpful for you guys in a follow-up memo. I can give you the short version now. It's looking at things that are the most impactful, that are going to be biggest stumbling blocks for you in the coming years. And, so the year one is cleaning up your terminology throughout the ordinance. That's like the biggest thing, because before you can reorganize it, if you look at the use table, you guys have a lot of uses that maybe the intent was for them to be the same, but they're not identical the way that they're listed out in the ordinance. So they cannot be the same unless you guys bring it before the voters and ask them or propose to them, is this recreational use the same as this recreational use? And I don't know what the original intent was. So that's like the biggest thing for year one. And then bringing into compliance with statute that has been updated more recently, such as the childcare, multifamily housing, and off the top of my head, what was the third one? I think the floodplain ordinance
Yes.
is one that I recommended.
That was a big one,
for
yeah.
the coming year, just to be in time with the new firm release, which should be before your 2028 town meeting. So to keep everybody, it will be easier for you guys to update that later if you've incorporated the new language sooner.
Explain that a little bit again. Let's see, we're talking about the floodplain district, and you're saying that we should update it first prior to the new regulations coming out?
That's what DEA or DEA, OPD, whatever letters we want to throw out, Planning and Development Office, Floodplain Administrator is recommending, because right now, even though the ordinance says as amended in it, that no longer will cover you once the firm panels are updated. So that means that as soon as the new firms are out, FEMA could potentially deny all of the flood coverage that you have in your community. And that would also include if people are buying a property in the floodplain, they wouldn't be able to get a mortgage because they wouldn't be able to be insured. I don't know how that works with the private insurance, because I know New Hampshire also offers private flood insurance outside of federal flood insurance, but this is the directive that we've gotten from OPD on this. And so they would rather see just updating the dates once the new panels are released, but update all of the language to their current models ordinance.
And the language that you provided to us, is that their suggestion? The floodplain language, that's their suggestion to go with?
It comes from them.
Okay.
I think I sent that to you guys as an attachment.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah,
Yep.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't print that up, so I can't remember all that.
One of the advantages to the things that you've recommended for 2026 is that a lot of them I think will be politically really, really easy to, I don't think that voters will be dissatisfied with these things since they're required by law. So it may seem like a list of, 7 items, but
They're not controversial.
they're not controversial. So, with the exception of the consolidating and defining similar uses, the table. And again, I don't think we're going to find that controversial, but it is work that as a board we really have to do.
Yeah,
You
I
have
think
to
that will
agree.
be the heaviest lift,
Yeah.
probably of the entire project, is consolidating your uses and determining what they actually mean, what's intended, and making sure that the community is behind those definitions and descriptions.
I'm sorry, when is it that we're supposed to get the new boundaries for the floodplains within the
Pending.
I understand pending, okay, so when we word this, or however you word this, you're saying currently, as amended, does not cover us. Therefore, do we say, subject to future FEMA directives?
No,
How do you get around that?
You would incorporate the new model language, and you would use the dates of the current adopted firm panels. But then what they're requesting other communities to do that haven't adopted the new language, even with their existing dates, they're requesting that they hold a special town meeting to adopt the new flood ordinance. And it looks like there's wiggle room if you have the new language with the existing date to not have to hold a special meeting, a special town meeting to adopt the new ordinance. There's another way that the select board can insert the new date that is less of a rigmarole, and it's a little confusing to me, so I apologize, I can't give you the full answer right now. What was that?
I see, it's a little confusing to you who specialize in this. It's a fog to most of us.
Yes.
So how do we go about this? I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm reading some of this stuff, and I should have a law dictionary sitting beside me for a lot of it. It's not at a level that's going to be easily understood by the general public.
I will get a full description of the process for you, and I'll share it with Adam so he can distribute it to you guys so that you can understand better, and I will also understand better because it will be fresh in my mind.
So just one comment, as far as the organization, that's pretty easy for me to follow. But then the changes to best practices and whatever, there's no way of me being able to identify where they are in this printed document. I'm wondering if there was some way of color coding those things, that we're concerned that it might actually change the original intention, of what we had. And I don't know if you have that or if you...
I'm not fully following what you're requesting.
She's not changing any of the language. The language is exactly the same, just reorganizing it. So the intent will still be there.
And if that's the case, then that's fine.
Yeah, that is the case.
Well,
In this part of it, this big, thick part of it, that is the case.
Which big, thick one are you referring
It's
to?
the,
I know, we have two of those.
that one right there.
They're all connected, right?
Oh, okay, so yes, so in that, it's probably not clear at all. There are teeny changes like statutory reference that were added, some new headings were added. There's a new opening, I believe the shortest bit of paper that was presented to you for this evening, the 4-pager, titled Zoning Audit Reorganization Recommendations. There is a list on page 3, or beginning the bottom of page 2, that outlines everywhere new language was added and what its purpose was. And in the digital copy, you can see it because I've made anything that's new in red text so that it stands out very clear, but obviously on a printed black and white copy, it might look slightly lighter, but it's not distinct.
Well, I think if that was at least sent to us, that would be helpful.
It was.
It was in the
Yeah, it
memo.
was.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, it's
Electronic.
There was a lot of documents
Yeah.
there.
Sorry.
And there was actually 2 copies of the reorganized ordinance, one with comments, one without comments. I printed the one without comments because it's a lot easier to make your own notes. If you want to see the one with comments that are basically just showing you where things have been moved from, much easier to read on a laptop, tablet.
So I made a mistake diligently picking up the packet.
No, a great way to work it is to have the online version up while you're reading,
Right.
because then you can see the color and it really pops. I
Yeah,
think it
well,
was a
that's-
great
that-
presentation.
That's helpful, so
Yeah.
I'll go back and make sure I
Yeah,
have that.
and once this has come to fruition and we are ready to print new documents, those documents will be in color. But I figured we're not going to print color for this meeting, unfortunately.
Well, and the end result of, if you decide to move this forward, ultimately, it will be it will be presented in such a way that black and white printing is the way we go. I mean, Victoria sent me some comments, and one of her comments had to do with colored ink in the printing, and the only reason colors are used in any of this that you guys have received is just to help your navigation through this process. And digital versions will always have in-document hyperlinks as blue and underlined. We actually can't change that, but they are underlined, so they're distinct. However, if you're using a printed version, it's not going to matter to you that there's hyperlink there, so won't work. Can't.
My comment was, in my dreams, we'd be able to use color, but I know we're too cheap to do it, so it ain't gonna happen, right? So how would you like to begin?
So I guess we could begin, I kind of want to begin with Scott, because I'm dying to know what Scott thinks of this, but I don't want to jump the gun of the table. Like, did anybody have something, was there a knee-jerk reaction of, I can't use this?
Not from me, if you want to hear from me. Not from me. No, I found it quite easy to use. I just have a few comments on organizing things on there, and that's all I looked for was organizing. I checked some things in there to make sure you didn't change a few things, but you didn't. But just the organizational part of it there, just a few suggestions, and I don't even know if they should be there, but it is, there are plenty of categories to choose from to make it easy for anyone, us and anyone else looking through it to find what they want. But just clarifying a few things and moving a few things around, like we've got section 2, and at the bottom of it says district boundaries, and it sounds like, they're the district boundaries, you're gonna find all the boundaries in there, but it's not, it's the rules regarding the district boundaries. So I'm wondering if we could move that right underneath 2.1, the zoning district and zoning maps. It talks about the maps in the district. And then if we had a category that said rules regarding district boundaries, and that says how the boundaries are interpreted if it runs into one lot or another lot or residential business and that type of thing, if we could just move it under 2.1. And again, these are just suggestions. I don't know what the rest of the board thinks about it.
That parallels what I thought too.
Yeah, some of the things might be what Victoria thought too. And like on section 3, what do I have here? Section 3, I was suggesting to move the rear lots category and the non-conforming lot category to just underneath the table, because the table gives all the dimensions of those, and then the rear lot talks about rear lots and how you can have those as well. And that, to me, it makes more sense to be right by the table, and then you expand into the rest of the stuff underneath it. You've got the height regulations from those table of dimensional standards. Also, a suggestion on that, the table of dimensional standards is fine, but if I'm just, guy picks it up off the street wondering what the setbacks and stuff are, I'm looking for setbacks in there. So maybe if that category was, section 3 was listed district dimensional and lot standards, maybe if we had it just frontage setbacks and minimum lot size on section 3, and then you have your table of dimensional standards. Then if you're looking for lot size, if you're looking for the setbacks, frontage, and that, you know it, and you found it right there, and you just turn to it. So that would be actually a replacement of the section 3 description there.
You should just want to open up and look at exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have the printed copy of that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll just grab it. Because like you guys, at our office, we try to print we can help it, so I couldn't get away with it. Okay, section 3.
And I'm just running on your front cover here. I'm not even into the whole thing. I'm just using your front cover and just using those categories, because that's pretty much how I looked at it with your categories, to navigate it. And that was the thing for the insert under 2.1 for rules regarding district boundaries. And that would be right underneath that table, I believe it was. Was it? No, the section, yeah, zoning district and zoning maps. So now we're on section 3. And I'm just suggesting changing district dimensional and lot standards to something that just says frontage, setbacks, and minimum lot size. Something that says those things so you can navigate right to those. Because those are probably a lot of the things that people are looking for in there if they're looking in our zoning. And also suggested moving, the rear lots and non-conforming lot underneath, right underneath the table of dimensional standards, right underneath that, because it pertains to that. And I'm also suggesting that we separate non-conforming lots and structures to two different ones, non-conforming lots and then one that says non-conforming structures.
And that's something that you deal with it later, right? In one of your suggested change, it's a content change, I think. I think that was a big one. Update. So I wondered about making changes like that. So I guess we would reorganize and then revise a couple years from now, is the thought?
Yeah, and that would be the sort of thing that you could prioritize to coincide with the reorganizing year,
Yeah.
or sooner if it's causing problems right now, because that's the other thing to keep in mind, is what is causing problems for you guys right now, and definitely prioritize those items.
Nothing really comes to mind on that part of it. Just navigating it is what you're, the improvements that you're making or have made right now, navigating the whole thing, which makes a lot of sense. The tables work real well, I think. I like the tables in there. They're fast and you can tell right off the bat. And just those small suggestions I had there, that's about it. Everything else seems to
Victoria,
work.
you had some suggestions that were of a similar nature of the order of things.
Yeah.
Do you want to share those?
There are quite a few,
Or,
I think.
should we
Yeah.
pause and discuss Scott's suggestions? Does anybody?
Yeah, see if anybody agrees, disagrees with what we're doing there, or I'm suggesting anyway.
I'm in agreement. That's one vote.
No? Maybe.
I'm just seeing everything as an improvement, just learn to use it, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll be easier to navigate. And the fact that the contents have a lot of categories in it, because that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Looking through it,
Yes,
trying to find what you want,
yes.
looking all through those categories, say, oh yeah, that's what I'm looking for, and go right to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this content, the indexing too, because we did the same thing with our CMPC budget, where we never had this type of thing. And so you're forever trying to flip through to find out what the guy's talking about. So that we have a page in the front that's a content page. So this makes it easier for somebody to look something up.
Yeah. Yeah, and this also, I realize that Victoria had some comments about the general formatting, like indentation and that sort of thing, which is something that you guys can figure out in your next phase. The big thing that I did here was apply headings to everything. So anytime something in this changes, it will be very easy to update the table of contents to be accurate, and it will not require staff to individually go through and renumber each page. And it also makes it easier once whatever end style results you guys would like applied to this document to be consistent throughout the document through any future iterations, as well as once you present it to the community.
Using features of Word.
Yep.
Using features of Word, Microsoft Word, there you go.
At least for now, until Word changes
I
a
wouldn't
lot,
think it would
which,
have been done any other way, in all honesty. I wouldn't have thought it would be done any other way, in all honesty.
well, a lot of these documents were originally drafted on typewriters.
Yeah.
And so it's playing catch up with
Yes.
technology as they change.
It was like an old building too, it just kept on getting added to and added to and added to, that's how the whole thing got as it is in here.
Exactly.
But yeah, to reorganize it and get it like it is now,
It was,
make an improvement.
when I was reading through it, I could actually, I'm sure you could too, I could hear different voices. There were different sections were written in different styles.
No comment.
I don't know who the voice was, but there were areas that were distinctly different from other voices.
For that.
Scott's out for the recording.
Okay, so nobody's opposed with Scott's recommendations that I'm hearing.
Want me to leave the room and see?
No, we left the door. Was that it? Did you have others, Scott?
I didn't. Those were just a few little suggestions. I read the whole thing over, ran through it and several times, looked it over, thought about it, looked it over. And those are the small little changes there was all I came up with.
I made a million of them. Do you want me, you have a record of them. But I guess we need to know whether the board agrees with.
Yes, I do,
Yes.
I have everything that you emailed. and
Yeah.
I didn't print up
No.
all of the specifics, I just printed up the narratives that went
Yeah.
along.
I guess what I need to do is I sort of felt like what I was doing was, putting in periods and commas and sort of, fussy, picky stuff that we don't really need to talk about, but,
Well, and those things are tricky, they're not really part of the work that I was doing, but you've got to be very careful when you replace punctuation in a zoning ordinance to make sure that it doesn't accidentally change the intent of
Yeah.
the ordinance.
which is why, I mean, grammatically, I know what I was doing was correct, but I would
Right.
like to, I wonder if a subset of the board might want to just go through the punctuation stuff, because I don't want to do it as a board.
Yeah,
It would be
that's probably a good
tedious.
idea.
Yeah. Okay, but that can be a later.
And it might also be a later thing that follows some of the more sweeping recommendations.
Yeah.
Because some of those things might just kind of get caught in the net of other
And-
changes.
That net? Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, I think that was the hope when we started making broader changes, a lot of those punctuation and grammatical errors would just kind of be fixed along with that, just as a result.
Do we have anything else? Well, Victoria had a couple of things on ordering.
I did. I can't remember.
Um,
In the first section, I know there was something, and I think it might have been the same thing Scott said. Let's see. Section 1.
In the first section, I believe it was adding a new subsection under section 1 for administration, and that would combine validity, amendment, and effective date as a further level down in the hierarchy.
Yes. So I was, begin with purpose, then do applicability. I was trying, it just seemed logical to go from purpose to applicability to administration, which would have effective date, the amendment, and validity, then go to enforcement, and then after enforcement comes penalties, because it just seemed logical.
That did all make sense. I reviewed all your comments there. You sent them out in the email, and yeah, that did make sense to organize it like that, to me too.
And that means in the title, to put all of those elements in the title so that when you scan the title, you can see what's going to be underneath. So that one was pretty straightforward. Section 2, that was moving the zoning boundaries up underneath the maps. I thought that made sense. And then going into district purpose, intent, and location, going through the different districts. And then underneath that, having the overlay district's purpose and intent and the different districts listed. But I thought that the title of section 2 ought to be zoning map, zoning districts, and overlay districts. Is that basically what you said? I think it is.
No, I didn't touch on the overlay districts in that part of it, because, yeah, I think that you added the actual overlay districts underneath that, because they're further on in here. The overlay districts are under section 6. Right. But did you move those up, or you didn't?
No, I thought they were, no, they're in section 2.
The descriptions of the overlays are section 2.3,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the meat of the overlays is in section 2.
But that's not what you meant?
I didn't do that. No, I didn't
Okay.
move the overlay districts themselves. I just, the descriptions.
Okay.
Just as
All
the
right.
business district has a description, the overlay district has a
I
description.
thought you had meant the other, okay. I got it.
Yeah, no. That would be too heavy.
So maybe part of what you're proposing for section 2, Victoria,
Yeah.
part of it obviously is reorganizing it so that it flows the way the title of the section flows.
Yes.
So if we say zoning district descriptions first, that should come first in line, but you're not proposing that the descriptions come first, you're
No,
proposing
I'm proposing a different title
different title
for section 2.
that includes overlay?
Yes, so it would start out with zoning map, because the first part of this, the first number 1 and number 2 talks about the zoning map itself. It talks about the map itself and then the district boundaries. So that's all map stuff. And then comma, after zoning map, comma, zoning districts. And that's where we talk about the zoning district's purpose, intent, and location, and then we list all the specific districts. And then the third part of the title is overlay districts, and that's where we have a description of the, I think there's three, there's shoreland, floodplain, wetlands, and airport district, and adult entertainment district. And then the last paragraph of the last paragraph, this used to be, oh, that's just a small thing. Under adult entertainment business district, it was a huge block of text, and I was just recommending that that get broken up into 2 paragraphs. Because the first part describes what it is, and the second part talks about what it's not.
Did you want district boundaries in the title for section 2?
I didn't, it could be there, but I thought that related closely enough to the zoning map, because the map describes the map is the boundaries.
And the district boundaries, you mean, is the talking about if it comes into a residential zone or so on that. But I think it should be rules regarding those boundaries, because that district
Better
boundaries,
title, yeah.
it's kind of misleading. So wherever it is, it should say what they are.
It's kind of like performance standards for district boundaries. It's how the boundaries are figured out.
Which would you prefer, rules or performance standards?
I like rules, I think.
Yeah,
The rules
rules is-
regarding district boundaries, just
Straight
because they are the rules that you're using, 20 or 50 feet in, whatever the heck it is, at least.
Okay, anything else in section 2?
Nope.
Okay. And I do want to apologize for how we have section 3 and then a big blank page, and I will let you know, there's a few different things. Thing 1, we do recommend that each section begin on a new page, but because this is a draft and in the interest of not having it go on forever, considering we're printing these up, I didn't do that. The other thing is some of the tables are spaced in kind of a funny way on the pages to accommodate the notes, because the notes had to be formatted using references. So the formatting got a little bit tricky, and there's a possibility we can work around that, but I'd prefer not to, so that it can all stay automatic for future updates and when things change, so that any future staff that interacts with the document, or current staff that interacts with the document, doesn't have a nightmare trying to add new provisions as your ordinance grows. Okay, Victoria, what did you have for section 3?
Section 3, let me just...
Or should we say, do you guys want to just speak up if you're opposed to additional changes that are, because I'm going to assume, since nobody's saying anything, that you guys are okay with it, and I'm just going to incorporate the changes that are recommended tonight?
By all means.
Okay.
One of my first thoughts was about the table. In this table, you used upper and lower case, and I found that much easier to read than all caps in the
Yep, in the
performance.
table of uses.
Yeah.
What part was that in?
Go ahead.
Was that on the actual table itself?
I like the upper and lower case
In this
use
part of
in
it,
this table, yeah. But further on, when we get into the uses, it's all caps, and it's just a little bit harder to read
Yeah.
if you have old eyes. Okay. And I'm going to skip through the notes, okay? Here, this is commercial industrial, okay. It seemed like I added a word in the title. It's commercial industrial district, and I said additional dimension requirements, because they're in addition to the kind of the standards that apply. And I can't remember exactly why that seemed very logical, but it did. So maybe you could just consider adding that word.
Yeah,
Is
so
it more?
currently, I have the title for the additional standard, additional commercial industrial.
That's why, that's why.
You're proposing moving the additional further into the title, so commercial and
Is
industrial
the first thing you see.
grabs you. And the
type.
same was true for, did we have?
Industrial Park District, additional dimensional requirements,
We're
just
talking about
sequencing of
311
words.
and 312. Does anybody
Yeah.
have any preference?
The idea was just so that you could scan down and the first thing that would hit you would be the name of the district rather than the word additional.
And while we're on 3, we had 3114, which is abutting residential. And I was considering changing that to residential screening, because that's what it talks about. And that is something that I think someone might be looking up, do we have to screen this
Yeah.
resident? I don't know what anybody else thinks about that.
I agreed, but I also put the word dwelling in there, so it reads abutting residential dwelling screening.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
But in 3111 and 3112, the title of each of those sections is, one is access from Route 10 and the other is access from a feeder road. It seemed more logical to say lots using access from Route 10 and then lots using access from the feeder
It
road.
does, yeah, I remember that one in there, right?
And that's all I have in that section. Down at 3.4, where it talks about non-conforming lots and structures, to make the title 341 more informative by saying development of a non-conforming lot, because the text talks about how you may develop a non-conforming lot.
Was that development, you had development first?
Yeah, it
Developing or
says,
develop-
it's under 3.4, it says non-conforming lots and structures. 3.4.1, the current title is non-conforming lot, and it seems to me like since the body of text has to do with how you develop a non-conforming lot, that you could put the word development of a non-conforming lot, development of non-conforming lot in the title of that section.
Yeah, that's part of the one I just told you.
Right, right. But that seems like not a substantive change that, I mean, it's just clarifying, so it didn't seem like like something that needed voter approval to increase that title.
Yeah, everything needs voter approval. It's just how we describe the
Yeah.
changes
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is different.
It doesn't, maybe I should say, it doesn't need, it could go under a blanket explanation, that words were added for clarification, not a line by line.
On a non-conforming lot, if something is removed, does it not have to be in the same footprint? Or is that only if it's destroyed?
Well, that's something that we actually point out as an inconsistency that's in the packet. I think that's what Victoria was talking about. There was something that deals with that in here. And it's inconsistent because in the one case, if it's destroyed or torn down, it has to be rebuilt in the same footprint. However, you can also expand it if it doesn't increase the nonconformity. So, which is it? It's both right now, but that's,
That would be expanding up, I think is why that was in there. Because you wouldn't be non-conforming, or it wouldn't be increasing non-conformity if you did not expand the external dimensions for setback, but it's expanding up, you'd be more in building. I think that's what that's talking about.
it might be. I think it's also talking about if, say, you have a side porch that butts out this far, and then you want your living room to also go out that far, but you don't go out further than the side porch, or, I'm not remembering it correctly perfectly, because I feel like there's also a half distance included in there for expansion of a nonconformity.
That's right, there is something that was added in there, yeah. Something we'll have to go over, I'm sure.
And to your point, when we lived in North Swansea, we converted or expanded into an existing front porch to increase the living area. And, there's a confusion there. As long as we're not getting closer to the boundary, or excuse me, not expanding the boundary of the footprint,
the setback's the same, is what you're saying.
Right, and
Yeah.
I think we had something similar to that about a year ago up on Pitcher Point, where somebody wanted to change their building or go vertical or something of that nature. But anyway,
I don't recall, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that is something that's identified to talk about a bit more deeply later. So maybe if you want to put an earmark in it yourself and, kind of determine which ways you think it's not working to bring it to the discussion. Because there's a few different ways that it doesn't really work, and I am certain I have not identified all of them.
well, it's going to be tough to research back to what the original intent was when that was done. But I think that the intent was not to get any closer to the pond or to any water's edge.
Yeah, not to increase the nonconformity of the structure.
Did you have anything else for section 3, Victoria?
Under 3.4, item 3411, I was recommending that get a title. And the title would simply be Shorelands Protection Overlay District Non-Conforming Lot. So that when you got to that section, your eye would know what you were about to read about. And that's kind of consistent with the way you've titled other sections.
Yeah, because we never find it otherwise.
Right.
No.
Anything else for 3?
Not anymore. There's a typo that really bothers me. 3421, it's the wrong verb. Instead of are, it should be is. Restoration, all those things. Is allowed, not are allowed. That's all I got.
Ready for 4?
Yep.
So I know you had a lot of comments on the order that these are presented in the notes that you sent to me.
Yeah.
And I sort of followed 2 strategies when I did this. One was following the existing order of section 3 because it felt in some ways fairly logical. You can have one family dwelling per lot, which actually doesn't always make sense anymore because it's not always permitted. Just putting that out there. Or is it? Do you guys permit single-family residential in every zoning district right now? By right? No.
Not by right. No.
Okay. So first, like following the statement of general performance standards, we are listing some, and so maybe those should be a lower hierarchy, like the sewage disposal and sanitary facilities, maybe that should be 421. But generally, I laid these out following more performance type standards and then moved into accessory uses and tried to bundle all of the accessory uses together.
Yeah, which I loved. I thought that was really nice.
But obviously, it's all open for discussion, so.
Yeah, what seemed logical to me on that particular day, in that hour of that day, was to start with general performance standards and then do non-conforming use, to sort of rule out any of the things that fit under that, and then go into accessory uses. And customary accessory uses, prohibited outdoor storage as an accessory use, small residence storage sheds, and then the whole thing on home occupations, and the whole thing on home-based businesses, which I know is going to change, and then go down to things that had to do with housing, which is the number of one-family dwellings per lot, manufactured housing, and temporary dwellings. And then end up with sewage disposal, because that seemed kind of like it didn't really flow from anything, from housing. But I'm not, that just seemed like the logic that hit me at that day.
Okay, so should we discuss, ignore, revise?
To me, it could go either way, just either way. I don't know, anybody else thinks?
Yeah, I think it's probably just a matter of taste, really, so I'm not married to any of it.
Okay. Did you have anything else for section 4?
Yeah.
Tables, the categories, like residential, agricultural, I'm wondering if, because it confused me, if you get those confused with the zones.
That's a good point. Did anybody else find, maybe you should say like residential uses? after?
In like
Maybe-
industrial, agricultural, so it's like,
Yeah.
is that the zone or is that the use? And then I realized, okay, that's a category of uses.
Yep. Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Yeah, I had the same thought when I was reading it through the first time. Yeah, I agree with
They
you.
I mean,
are
I
very
figured it
close
out,
to
but I
your
figure
discipline.
it confused
Yeah.
other people too.
Yeah.
In 435, there was a sequencing thing that did seem important, and that's 4.3, and I know we're going to change all this ultimately, but temporarily, I think we should begin home-based businesses with the section that says the following uses may qualify as home-based businesses, because that's effectively a definition of what a home-based business is. And then continue to say home-based businesses may be allowed in all districts provided that the following criteria are met, and just list all the following criteria. And I think there's a logical sequence to that too. I mean, I just don't know how much energy we should put into this home-based business section, because I think we do need to address it as an amendment. The logic that I thought made a lot of sense was that no home-based business, to start with, no home-based business shall be conducted at any dwelling unless it's undergone site plan review, and then there's no more than 3 people would be the next one. Home-based businesses may occur within the dwelling unit. The use does not result in the alteration of the residence. It's not identified by any external on-premise. Advertising. And then talk about it doesn't result in the production of any offensive noise, vibration, light, so forth. And then talk about vehicle trips. And for the last item, the maximum number of vehicles permitted, that used to be connected in a very large block of text, or is currently connected in a large block of text where it talks about the number of vehicles, and then it continues, any applicant shall clearly and fully state the type and amount of equipment. Those seem like 2 very separate items, separate thoughts, and I thought those ought to be separated. One dealing with how many vehicles can be outside, and the other that you have to clearly state what you're going to have in the way of machines and vehicles.
So you reorganized that,
I
Victoria?
did, yeah.
So, again, run down it, and what would be first?
oh,
Because we're on
boy.
475, right?
Yeah, except that I gave my own numbers, so I really
Oh, okay.
messed this up.
It really doesn't matter, because
Okay.
as long as all the information is in there,
Yeah,
I'm not partial as to what
okay,
comes first.
okay.
Is all of that in the notes?
It's
that-
in the hard copy that because I
Okay.
sort of had to visualize how it would flow.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's all wait, no, I think I had an addendum to that. Section 4, hold on, one more second. Table of uses. I was asking for large and small caps on that. I like the way you blocked the uses into different types. Oh, this is the rest is just grammar and capitalization. Don't use a hyphen, do use a hyphen, capitalize word, don't capitalize certain words, that kind of thing. It's not meaningful to the content.
Anything for section 5 or 6?
I wonder, I don't have anything for those myself, but should we spend time on the table while we're at the table, do you think?
You can, just getting back onto section 4, in the contents, should we have something that pertains, that says home-based business, home occupation? Because that's another one that people look for, and they'd want to be able to find the home-based business or home occupation just written in there, whether it's a, we've got 4.7 accessory uses, and it falls under that category. But if we could have something listed in there that says home-based, home occupation / home-based business, I don't know, something like that, to refer to it, so we can find it.
Yeah, I think that would be really smart. So that for accessory, it falls under accessory uses.
We could leave it up to Sarah to figure
Yeah.
out where that fits in, just as long as it's in there and
Just
it goes to a page number.
Just wondering if there are any other things that fall under, there
No,
aren't.
That
I
we
think-
want to. Just single out those.
I think if we do that, it would have to be 4.8.
Mhm.
Table of uses would have to be 4.9.
Oh, you'd be at, 4.7, then you'd single it out, the home-based business, home occupation.
If you want it on the table of contents, I mean, it makes.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah, then if it was 4.8 and then, 4.9 tables.
Sarah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree, because the only other solution is allowing the second lower hierarchy into the table of contents, and not all of those, I mean, it would be nuts.
It's harder to do, right? So like Adam said, just another
Yeah, I mean,
line
I'll
there.
see if there's a workaround. I don't think there is, but we can look into it. And otherwise, we'll just make it we'll make that
Yeah.
home-based business and home occupations will be 4.8, and table of uses will get moved down.
Sounds fine.
There's actually one other element under accessory uses that might be worthy of, that people might want to look up, and that's small residential storage sheds. I don't know if you think people would be looking for that.
That comes up. That comes
Yeah.
up, and I've got a notation on my zoning that, our current zoning for that, because,
Yeah.
that has come up. People have asked me about that, and I look through it, and instead of spending an hour trying to find it, and I go to my little notes. So, yeah, storage sheds or something like that, that people equate to, just so you could find that.
So it's currently a subcategory of accessory uses, just as home occupations and home-based businesses are.
I think I struggle with that because it's such a small.
I know, it is, but if you're digging, if that's all you want to do,
Yeah.
you want to find the place where it is.
You do, and that's a popular thing. I mean, people do want to know about that, those storage sheds. How close can I put it here, or what,
Well,
whatnot can I have
and
one?
that does bring up another question, and this is going to be different for everybody who uses the ordinance. But it is the first note underneath the table of dimensional standards directing you
Yeah,
to the ordinance with the hopes that somebody would start by looking at what are my setbacks?
but they probably aren't. They're probably going to look in here for storage sheds, like Victoria's suggesting.
And then I think we have in our use table, of course it's buried, it's pretty far down the list. It is highlighted, it looks distinct because it doesn't have any collimation in its row. It's item number 70 right now, but hopefully once the uses are consolidated a bit, it won't be number 70 because you won't still have 73 distinct uses in your table. Maybe you will, I don't know, no judgment at all. But we can also put that like at the beginning of the accessory uses in the use table so that it stands out much more distinctly.
That's a great way to treat it. Yeah, make it, pop it up.
And if I can figure out a way to include a handful of the next lower hierarchy in the table of contents, I'll also put it there. But since it is so small, well, it's really up to you. I mean, if you guys want it graduated to the top level, we can do that. There's not any harm in doing that, but we'll see if we can incorporate it
See if
other
it
ways.
fits. Otherwise, yeah, fits in another spot. Because, yeah, having it more to the top of the list on here would be fine, but the person has to figure out to go to the table of uses before they, figure out, oh, it's a storage shed, that's what I'm looking for. Of course, that's what Adam's for, and they're supposed to call him up, and he's supposed to say, go to that table.
Well, no, actually, these days, they don't even call us, they just plot the shed.
Yeah.
So
Ask for
it is a pain
forgiveness.
point. Is there any thought about having these listed alphabetically within the categories?
There is potential thought, but until you guys determine what your terms are, there's no point in doing it. I didn't have the energy for it, I do apologize.
That's okay. No, just from a readability, I think that would probably make it easier, at least my thoughts.
But one thing that I would say, sort of anti-alphabetical organization, is if you do maintain a numbered list in the use table to make it easier when somebody's requesting relief from something, or when they're pointing out, oh, I can do this because of this number, if it's alphabetical, anytime you incorporate a new use, the whole table will be messed up. So if it's already a mess,
And you can't tell if you messed it up,
you
right?
can't tell.
But, when I look at residential, I mean, that order seems to make more sense than when I get to commercial and I start seeing just more of a hodgepodge. So.
Yeah, residential is very straightforward. Agricultural really will have some pretty significant consolidating just to bring you guys into compliance. But the commercial and professional uses, and also the industrial uses, that's where it really, we get a lot of similar language that's competing. So it should be easy to tidy those up.
All right, let's clean this list up.
So just to draw your attention to the recommendations section that Sarah's prepared for us, she's given us the way to do it. So maybe,
A way to do it.
but backed by statute and backed by Planner's Dictionary definitions, so, so we can probably get through that pretty quickly. I bet.
Hopefully
Clean up.
that will not be painful.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have anything else for the document that we're working on right now? Well, if you think of anything, send it to Adam, and,
Your table on 4A,
yeah,
on the general farming, it's only got it permitted in rural agricultural,
yeah,
and under the RSA's, growing of plants and soil tilting is allowed in all.
yes,
Only
so,
the animals can be zoned in certain ones.
so I think it's probably the first thing after consolidating your similar uses is cleaning up the agricultural uses and how they're handled, because the way it's currently handled, you can't do it in most of your town, which is not enforceable because the state law says that you can. So,
Out of 67432.
but I believe, oh my gosh, I didn't number these pages. No, I did. Okay,
You
on
did.
page 7, at the bottom of page 7 of the handout that's 25 pages, that gives some recommendations for how to update your agricultural zoning and bring it into compliance. Be more friendly to agriculture in your town that celebrates rural character and agriculture as identifying features. Okay, so moving on from this document, if we're ready to, I think we are, but did I kind of address what you were?
Yep.
Okay. Before we go into the broader recommendations, I actually would like to have a brief discussion on how you guys want to handle the amendments language, because that did feature heavily at the last joint meeting, and I'd like to have a strategy that you guys like to be what is presented to the larger group, and only present them with one strategy that works for you guys. So what I am recommending is that all of the amendment language, with very distinct exception for amendments that coincide with an ordinance that is specific to the date where it was adopted. You know, you have a handful of those, like, for instance, when you update the ADU ordinance, there will be a provision in there that allows an existing non-conforming structure to be converted to an accessory dwelling unit, provided that it was built by sometime in 2025, I think March 2nd, 2025, or it's something like that. So there are a few instances in your ordinance where that type of information will be retained, but we're recommending that all the rest of those are pulled out in an annex that will be available on the website or printed up at town hall, because it's, did I share that with them? I can't remember.
It was that was the one we talked about, not right now,
Because it's huge.
very big.
I put everything into a table, and it shows the full amendment history on every section of the ordinance that says amended in this time, changed in this way, with the date. It includes all of that. It includes the current location of the ordinance within the broader ordinance, as well as the migrated location of the ordinance. So, I mean, it's probably...
To the new one? You mean migrating to the new one you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, of course, it's not finalized because we're still reorganizing the structure of it, but there's a draft of that in place. And it's a pretty lengthy table. It's maybe 600 rows long, because you guys have, you've got a lot of content. Not everything has an amendment, but that would be a way to get it out of the text and tidy up the ordinance a bit. Victoria has suggested if it remains in the ordinance, just pulling it out of the language as, you know, the next line, so to speak.
Well, no, my feeling was, I was remembering that we hadn't resolved this topic, but if we did decide to keep it in the text,
Right,
then
right.
it should be in that in a position where it's not kind of gommed into the rest of
Right.
the text. But I don't know what the word annex means. Can you explain that in greater detail?
It's an appendix that's a separate document. So
Okay.
when you print up the zoning ordinance, it wouldn't have a 500-page appendix
Okay.
dealing with the zoning amendment, but it would still be referenced by the zoning ordinance and be incorporated in the zoning ordinance by reference.
Okay. Okay, so the history of the zoning, which would be available if anybody needed to research the evolution of
Yeah,
that.
and it could very easily be side by side on the website if you guys
Okay.
wanted it to be there. And then for the map history, I don't believe that should go in the table. I believe the map history makes more sense as an actual appendix to your ordinance, because that's something that you might need to have at your fingertips a little bit more easily, because your districts have changed over time, and I think it's helpful to understand those changes as, you know, you discuss the uses of land in your community.
Yeah, that comes in handy sometimes, that one, and putting it in the back is fine. Good, but it used to be what, in the front, I think it's in the front
Yeah.
of our zoning ordinance. Yeah,
Yeah, it's in section 2
but
right now.
that does come in handy sometimes. But you're talking about referencing every single change in its own document and just leaving it right out of our zoning completely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that makes that cleaner for the average person looking at it.
I don't think the average person cares if they see
No,
amended and
they
such
don't
and such, they say, what do I care?
And we don't care all that often, but when we care, we really
Yeah.
do care.
But
So-
if it's all in one place, if we
Yeah,
want to research
then
it,
we're
that's-
good,
that's the
yeah.
way to research it there, yeah.
If it's organized the same way, you know, which it would be, then it's easy to correlate.
Do you want to share that with them before the next planning board meeting so they can see
Yeah,
if you still think it's easy once you see it?
I'm very much of the mind that this should be sharing that Excel spreadsheet with you all. It really cleans up the whole document. Right now, looking at it.
But the sections would be labeled the same as they are in the ordinance themselves?
It would be both. So it would be.
So it would be a complete document with the ordinance and that's.
Yes, so I
almost
should
like
describe the
7.
table. So one sheet of the spreadsheet shows the new location of everything, if you guys adopt the new structure that I've proposed. And so the first column is the new location, the second column is the location you have right now, and then the third column is the amendment history. And then the second sheet shows it sort of in reverse order, showing the existing location, the new location, and the amendment history. So that however people are comfortable interacting with it, it's easy, hopefully, to find.
You understand, I'll send you guys the spreadsheet after the meeting. The reason it wasn't sent to you before this meeting is because it's already overwhelming with all the information.
It's a lot. I do apologize.
And this would have really fried brains. So I'll send this to you after the meeting tonight, and if anybody has any questions for the next meeting, just shoot them my way.
Yeah, and it's something just to look at to see how it
Yeah,
comes together, nothing to review.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. New section on the left, old section on the right, just so you can cross-reference really easily. Kind of like how when we changed over tax maps, we have a document in town hall just to show what the new tax map is or the old one. The same idea.
So, yeah, we'll be using it as an index with both zoning until we get one approved or approved by the voters.
Okay, so generally you guys think you're probably in support of that as what we bring to the joint meeting, recognizing you haven't seen it yet.
But you mean just a spreadsheet what we're talking about, or are you separating out when the amendments were changed? Or both? We're talking about a spreadsheet that's like an index, tells you cross-reference as to what the old zoning, new
It's
zoning.
all in that spreadsheet. So it's it's the zoning crosswalk as well as the amendment history, all in the same sheet.
But that's a strategy you're talking about, or that's different? That's a strategy you're talking about
Yeah,
right there?
that's a strategy I'm talking about, to pull all of the amendment history language out of your existing ordinance and also make it easy to find where everything moved. So,
Oh, yeah, right.
you know, it will help people know that nothing was lost in the restructuring. And,
Yep.
you know, we don't want anybody to think that something got omitted accidentally.
Right, and, you know, it's easy to say, you know, looking through I was checking myself back there, saying, I don't know, is that really in there, or wasn't that in there? And I'm checking back in there, and, yeah, did all right.
Didn't find any? Okay.
No, I didn't find any.
Okay, now recognizing the hour and all of that, I don't know how long I can keep you guys tonight. You guys got till 9 o'clock, just kidding, just kidding. Do you want to start addressing any of these issues, or are you guys feeling done with me?
These issues being,
These are the separate ones that
oh,
you.
the
memorandum.
recommendations, yeah.
So I haven't reviewed them all, I just stayed on this one here.
Yep.
But I'm fine looking it over if the rest of
If
the
you
board
guys
wants to take a
haven't
look.
really reviewed these yet, then we don't need to start discussing them. But am I coming to your next meeting? I think what I'm going to do is have Adam kind of field the next meeting and just kind of gather your general thoughts, because what I'm going to want to know is, most importantly, did I miss anything? Because if I missed anything, I want to add it to the list before it goes before everybody for the joint meeting. And secondly, is there anything on this that you don't see any point in moving forward in any way? And then third, what are your questions, so that I can be as prepared as possible to deal with the firing squad on the 17th?
I don't think you're going to have a firing squad. This is such a well-organized document that I really think it's...
You never know. I just like to be prepared, that's all.
But I'm happy to field questions. If you want to meet before the next meeting, just to go over it in more detail,
Yep.
maybe I have some questions that I can filter out.
Yeah.
Just, I'll help you with it. But, okay.
Are you hoping for a planning board decision on each of these 11 items before the meeting, or do you want to address these things in the joint meeting?
Well, I want to make sure we have everything that we need to address
Okay,
at the joint meeting.
okay.
Because I'm not sure precisely how far we're going to get into the meat of these at the joint meeting. I don't think we're going to get very far. I think it's going to be very high level, like, okay, we're talking about this is how we could address shoreland. This is how we could address agriculture. We recognize we need to deal with the airport zoning,
Okay.
that sort of thing. So I want to make sure that nothing was left out from our previous discussions. And to make sure that the way that I'm proposing to deal with these generally seems reasonable, because I don't want to promote things beyond this group that this group doesn't understand, couldn't get behind, and that sort of thing. Because this is all very draft material and ideas to move forward. Because this also doesn't contain, for the most part, it doesn't contain proposed new language. It contains proposed strategies. And so then your timeline is outlining how you guys would deal with this over the next 5 years.
We're still talking about the 11 items that are in that memo, right?
I think so. Are there 11?
Yeah.
I should have numbered them, so that
No, no.
is helpful.
Oh, no, you're talking about the big,
I'm talking about the
the
big ones.
content changes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. But do you, my question was the minor content-specific recommendations. I thought you were wondering whether we should address that tonight.
We can. I thought we sort of
If you feel like we have,
broadly, but we didn't specifically. So were there any minor content-specific recommendations that were proposed that anybody feels shouldn't be there? I know we added a handful of additional ones through the course of discussion tonight.
okay, I just want to make sure we didn't leave things undone that you had hoped to accomplish. Okay. So at the big meeting, you hope to address, to have all of us address the elements in your content amendments.
Yes.
Okay, that'll be fun.
I'm hoping we can present a unified front on the new structure
Yep,
and maybe not have a lot of discussion with the other boards and just say, this is what the planning board is recommending. But I don't, do you guys need to vote that you're recommending this generally? I don't want
I
to
think
speak
this is consensus.
for you.
I don't see that we
It's
need to
still a
vote on it
working
yet. We're
document,
still,
Yeah,
so-
It is
still
still
looking
looking
at
it over.
change.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And then we can go to high level. These are all of the areas that are recommended for amendment over the next 5 years.
Yes,
And we will ask the broader group also, did we miss anything?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important because a lot of those boards that are present at that joint meeting will have a hand in creating that language. Kind
Yep.
of like how we work directly with the Conservation Commission
Yep.
on the new water ordinance.
Great.
So I think a lot of those boards will have, I think they'll have more to say about that document than when you look at sources. I think they're going to be respectful. But they're going to have a lot to say about this.
Yeah. So, I will amend this slightly based on our discussion tonight to actually add numbers to each thing, so it's easier for us to have discussion in a few weeks. And then I'll incorporate any additional revisions that Adam captures from you guys at your next meeting.
Would you like us to work through the definitions
Sure?
ahead of that meeting so that there's planning board, because we can do that. It's
Sure, if you'd like.
lower level.
Because that is something that's recommended for year one, so
Yeah.
that is something that if you want to move forward with consolidating your definitions, you'd need to get cracking on that if you were going to bring it to fruition in 2027.
Sarah, the airport zoning, we really can't do anything really, because it's within the boundary is Keene. So
Is it considered?
it's considered, yeah, we've been faced with this already, with a solar array going in. We don't have,
Oh, they're claiming government use of land?
Pardon me?
Are they planning
Yes.
government use of land?
Yes,
on that?
yes, that's the
It
problem.
factors in for taxes, but in terms of zone, that is still controlled by Swanzey, because it is still Swanzey.
But we can't control the height of any building or what's going to go into,
FAA goes through.
within that
So
complex.
there was model language that was drafted specifically for Dillon Hopkins Airport by DOT. And I shared that with Adam for you guys. And the only thing that you guys really have any purview over is a local permitting process. And right now you have that assigned to the Board of Selectmen. And I don't know if anybody has ever even applied for that permit or how that process is working, but it's up to you guys as the planning board to determine who that permitting body should be and then put it to the voters to see if they agree. But you're right, there's not a lot that you can do on the airport, but right now your airport zoning isn't enforceable anyway.
Yeah, like, the recommended language was a lot more usable.
Does that kind of answer your question?
It was basically, it's whatever the FAA dictates to us.
Sort of. I mean, it's a little
Unfortunately.
bit more nuanced than that. I mean, there are some things that you guys can determine and discuss. Like, of course, height is going to be determined, but different uses on the airport property still go through site plan review, do they not? If a new hangar goes up?
No, they do. They do. It's also important for wetland considerations, any environmental concerns that those will be seen by the Conservation Commission, potential conditional use permit. And they are still going, right now, they're working through the building permit process. They're paying the normal fees, so, yeah.
Further discussion.
Okay, so everybody knows their homework?
Sounds like our homework is to review your recommendations for the consolidation and definition of similar terms. And I don't think that's going to be hard, and I don't think it's going to take long.
And the board just did this a couple of years ago when we consolidated our business pieces. So, be the same kind of practice, we can see what's similar, what's serving the same purpose.
Yep.
How do we make that make sense?
And check through the, the content amendments to make sure that nothing is missing that should be there. And is there anything that, like airport zoning, that's not worth dealing with? Not meaning that airport zoning is worth dealing with, but sometimes it seems,
Yeah, we'll review the floodplain, proposed floodplain ordinance.
yes.
Yes, and I have made a note to try to get that in plain English about adopting it before the new panels are adopted. Yeah, it's confusing to me and I don't understand it very well, but I do know that I don't want people to lose their coverage while we wait for town meeting to happen again, especially because Swanzey's had some pretty devastating damage from flooding. Okay, do you guys, anything else for me tonight?
Gratitude.
Yeah, you've done.
Thank you
done quite a
so
lot.
much. Oh, my goodness.
Well, if you think of anything in the meantime, Adam's your guy.
Okay.
He'll collect all of the inquiries.
Yeah, well, Karen and I will try to meet for,
Yeah, it might need to be a little before the 10th, but yeah, we do that.
yeah, I'll send you an email. We can meet before the doc.
Actually, I will be in Swansea on the 10th for hazard mitigation planning, so we could potentially meet.
Well, I would hope it would be before that anyway,
All right, thank you, everybody. I know this is kind of tedious. I really appreciate you walking through this process, because
Yeah, more tedious for you than us, I think.
this is what I do, so I kind of enjoy it. So it's not that tedious for me, because I'm that type of
Oh, boy. I don't know, what's that say about you, Sarah? You enjoy that.
That's why she gets paid the big bucks.
Oh, yes, yes, I'll definitely be here for the joint meeting, so I will see you folks on the 17th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So do we have a meeting before the 17th? Do we meet on the 10th?
Yes. Is there any other business to come before us tonight?
One question. In reference to our Zoom online, is it possible for someone that may be watching to raise a question?
Not currently. It's only live on Facebook.
Because I know when we were in COVID, you were able to raise your hand, if you will, according to the screen, and ask questions. But if we're looking for people and they're watching it, if they have a question, they're locked out.
True, but, they can still come to the meetings. You aren't locked out, actually, of the process. I see what you're saying there about getting more people involved. But I don't know.
I mean, they could look at the agenda ahead of time, and if it's something that's of interest to them,
Yeah.
No, it's just a question. I know, as I say, I know when we were through COVID, we had that ability, or the individual had that ability.
A little different there, but yeah, they had the ability with the Zoom, right?
With the Zoom,
We attended those meetings that way. But it was difficult. You don't know really who it is, whether they're in a butter or not. Say you're having a public hearing, you really don't know if the person asking a question is in a butter who can ask questions in public hearings and can say things or not. It's best to have them in person, in my opinion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
second.
Motion and seconded. All